Hi and welcome to A World of Words. I'm Vanessa and today I'll be doing a review and discussion of The Glittering Court by Richelle Mead. So The Glittering Court is the first book in a brand new series by the author of one of my all-time favorite series, Vampire Academy. I am going into this book already as a fan of her writing and a fan of Vampire Academy, so if you also love the Vampire Academy and weren't really sure about this book because the synopsis is way different from Vampire Academy, there are no vampires, it's in a different world, like a different kind of, I would say, low fantasy world because there's no actual magic, but it is a world different from our own. And you may be thinking that her previous book that she released, Soundless, was also not really anything like Vampire Academy, but I just want to point out, if you weren't too crazy about Soundless, like I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed this book a whole lot more than I enjoyed Soundless because the main character in Soundless was very, very serious, and the main character in this is a lot more fun, and this book I feel like has a lot more funny parts and is overall, I think, even though it's a bit longer, I read it a lot faster because I really was drawn into this book very early on. So this review, I am going to say right now, will contain spoilers like most of my previous book talks. I just have to do a spoiler discussion because I need to discuss all the things. But I will have a very brief spoiler-free beginning for any of you who have not read this book yet. Don't worry, I will warn you before I spoil you. So right now I'm just going to jump into a very brief spoiler-free review. I want to say that I really loved the protagonist of this book. She had a really great personality. There were a lot of laughs in this book, which I was so happy about because that's one of my favorite things about Vampire Academy was how funny it is, and Adelaide really had a great personality. She is not exactly like Rose, but she's got, I guess, the same kind of charm, I don't know, and that I was instantly drawn to her. I instantly liked her, and she had a lot of like really kind of fun comments in her head. She didn't say them out loud as much as Rose does, but she had a lot of like internal commentary that was a lot of fun to read. Aside from it being surprisingly funny, because I really didn't know what to expect from this book, the story went in some surprising directions. We learned from the synopsis that this is a story about a countess who doesn't want to be a countess and impersonates her maid to go to this place called the Glittering Court, where they basically train lower class girls in the etiquette and everything of the upper class people and then ship them over to the New World, which is basically like the England colonizing America, and so they can be the wives of all of the guys that are going to be governing and everything over there, because as they described in the book, most of the men who went over there either are unmarried or they already have wives. Only women over there are also lower class women. None of the high class women went over there, so they want sort of women who can make the men, I guess, look better as well, who can throw fancy functions and things like that. And so that is the whole premise of this book. So you know it's going to have finishing school, you know it's going to potentially have them go over there and potentially meet suitors, but I feel like this book also went in some surprising directions that I really wasn't expecting, and I'm not going to say anything about that because it was really fun to discover where this book went, so I want you to be able to discover where it went as well, where it goes. So I'm just going to wrap up this spoiler-free section by saying, if you like historical fiction or books involving finishing school, I say that because personally I really love books involving like a finishing school for girls. I have no idea why this is. I always have found them really fascinating. That's part of the reason why I am so obsessed with the Gemma Doyle series by Lima Bray, because it involves a finishing school. Any book that has kind of a finishing school going on, I find them really interesting, and I love it. So if you also like finishing schools, you'll like this because it has one and it's very entertaining. So yeah, I definitely recommend this book if you like either of those things. I really can't say much about it without really spoiling it. So I will just say, if you're looking for a completely self-contained book, you're not going to get it here. You will have to wait for the next book to find out exactly what's going on. So be warned about that. But if you're okay with that, this was really a fun read and I enjoyed it. Now I'm going to jump into the spoiler section of this review, so if you haven't read it and you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to go read it and then come back and discuss all of the things. Okay, ye be warned, spoilers may follow. Not really sure what's going on with my hair. Tried to do a bun thing, but it's like doing something else, I don't even know. Okay. From the very first page, I really, really loved Adelaide's personality. I think I already said that before, but I feel like saying it again, so I will. Her sense of humor, I felt, was really, really down to earth for a countess. She had servants, and of course she was used to fancy things and a certain standard of living, basically. I felt like she was pretty relatable for somebody who is so high up in the social ladder, if that makes sense. Like an example basically of what I'm talking about is Gossip Girl books and stuff like that. They're really fun to read about, but they're just like so rich and their lifestyle is kind of insane that they're not super relatable, or at least I read the first Gossip Girl book. I'm talking about the book, and it was a little bit hard to kind of grasp the way they live because it's so different from the way I live. I am not upper class. I don't have tons of money to just like throw around everywhere, and so I found them a little bit kind of like, what? Hard to relate to. But Adelaide I did not find hard to relate to at all because they didn't really focus on it, and they focused a lot more on the fact that she is kind of running out of money and running out of options, and so her only option is to marry a rich guy that she doesn't really want to marry. I love that when they were discussing her different options as far as suitors go, she said that she needed somebody who appreciated her wit, which I just thought was wonderful. That the guy didn't laugh at any of her jokes, so he's like, doesn't appreciate my wit, he's not the one. I like that she is also both smart and brave. She saw an opportunity to get out of her situation. She didn't hesitate. She took it. I thought that was really good, instead of just sitting around and just thinking about it for a while, because it was a time-sensitive issue, and then ultimately being like, oh, I'm too scared, I can't do it. She's like, no, I have to do it. I have to do it. I have to do it. And I really, really admired that about her, that she would just like throw everything away, go somewhere she completely knew. She didn't know what was going to happen. I also like that throughout the book she stands up for her friends. Immediately when people were making fun of Mira, she said, hey, that's not okay, and she put the other girl down for being so rude. And I like that she looks out for them a lot throughout the book, as much as she can, really, because I'll get to it later, but they don't make it super easy for her. Yeah, she looks out for them as best she can, especially in like the social situations. Next thing I wanted to talk about was all of the secrets. If you read this book, you know what I'm talking about. I think that's actually like the only thing really that bothered me about this book was all the secrets. We know all of Adelaide's secrets, Adelaide's secrets, and why she's keeping them, because she's the narrator and we're in her head. But we never learn about Tamsin or Mira, not even at the end. I know that we're supposed to wait until the next book to find out anything about them, and it's, I guess, supposed to be part of the suspense, and it's supposed to be part of what makes this series kind of unique, is that you have to learn about all of these girls in their own story. But as I was reading the book, I thought it seemed just a little bit ridiculous that all of these so-called best friends kept so much from each other. And that crazy ending just like came out of nowhere, and I'm gonna go back to that at the end, but I was just like, what? What is happening there? I'm still pretty confused. Next thing I want to discuss is Mira and Tamsin's characters, kind of jumping from that last topic. I liked Mira fine as a character, but again, she kept so many secrets that it was hard to get really attached to Mira. Like, I liked her, she was nice, I liked her mostly because Adelaide liked her so much, but like, personally, I was like, not really sure what was going on with her, and that kind of kept me at a bit of a distance from her, from being super invested in her, basically. I feel like if I don't need to know everything, because that's the point of this series, but if I knew just like a little bit more about why she was always sneaking out, I would have been, I feel like, a lot more invested in her character. And then there's Tamsin, the other of the trio of friendship, basically. Honestly, I didn't really find Tamsin that likable. Right from the start, she was really bossy. I mean, I'm all for ambition, but this girl, she was constantly calling herself the leader, and that she was going to be the best. She's gonna be the diamond. She has to be the diamond. Again, like with Mira, she kept so many secrets. She apparently had a lot on the line, but we never learn what's on the line. Why should we care so much about you, and why should we want you to be the best? We never learn anything about her at all. Like Mira, we learn that she lived through some kind of rebellion or something. That's something we get. Tamsin, we really don't get anything except for that she writes letters. That's not really much to make me like really care for a character. Ooh, they write letters. And she wouldn't even tell them what happened after the storm, which I thought was a little bit weird, because at the end, you know how they tell each other everything, but we as readers don't get to see it. They don't even mention her telling them, and then we don't get to see it, which I thought was a little odd. I know we're not supposed to learn it, but they could at least like say she told them, you know, like they did at the end. Next, I want to talk about Cedric. I thought Cedric was pretty awesome, to be honest. First, I wasn't sure how Cedric was going to, like, he kept her secret at the very beginning when he recognized her in the carriage, but then later on, we knew how much he had on the line, when people kept coming after her, and he still stuck by her. I was just like, aww, because he could have gotten in so much trouble if they knew that he knew about her. I thought they were just adorable together. I love that he kind of got her jokes, he kind of made his own, they kind of had this really cute back and forth. I just want to spit out, I know I keep talking about Vampire Academy because I love Vampire Academy, and I'm pretty sure that at least some people who are watching this probably love Vampire Academy too, but I just wanted to point out how different they are than Rose and Dimitri, and I love them so much. Because Dimitri is all tall and stoic, and he's just like this big tough guy. They had a little bit of back and forth. I don't know. Cedric was just so different, and he teased her and stuff, and I just thought that was really cute and adorable, and I just love how Richelle Mead created like these different couples. He shipped both couples so much, and they're so different, and I thought that was really great. But back to this book. I was so upset with how upset Adelaide was when she found out about Cedric's religion. What was that religion called? Heretic. Okay, I can't find what the religion is called. I'll put it in later. And I was like, come on, Adelaide, have a more open mind. You don't need to be like that. Religious intolerance and all of that. I also loved her and Cedric's time on the boat together when she kept having to sneak off to do the painting, and then they would sneak into the captain's office and stole the cookies. I thought it was just too cute. It was too cute. I loved it. And they met that guy who was on the ship and he caught them together. What was his name? His name was like Lefty because he lost his left hand or something. And she was like, why isn't he more optimistic? Why doesn't he call himself Righty? I thought that was too good. It was too funny. I might be misquoting that too. Stuff happening on a boat like reminds me of Pirates of the Caribbean or like the Jackie Favor series, which so much fun. And going to, I guess, near the end, I was really surprised at how they ended up together. Like, I was fairly certain from the beginning that they were gonna end up together because, you know, they had all their flirty times. But when it turns out that they got caught by Cecily, right? Was it Cecily or Cynthia? Or, I can't remember anyone's name. I read this not even that long ago. Clara. It's Clara. Cecily, I think, is from the Gemma Doyle trilogy. There's a girl named Cecily in that. But anyway, Clara caught them, and then that ended up being how they got to be together and get married. We thought it was because of Mr. Warren Doyle and his kindness, but we learned that something's not right with that guy. I just thought it was really funny how they end up together by being caught. Now I gotta talk about the truth about Warren Doyle. Oh man. So at first I thought he was a nice guy because everyone thought he was a nice guy. Only I didn't ship it because I was already hardcore shipping Cedric and Adelaide, and this guy was getting in the middle of that. I also kind of suspected that he was too good to be true. He was too rich, too nice. Everything would have just been so perfect for Adelaide. If she married him, she'd be happy, and he's cute and nice and rich and everything she could have ever wanted. But she wanted Cedric. What if she could get over that? It would be fairy tale happily ever after, no? And then we learn about his mom and how she's kind of like blackmaily and wants pure bloodline and is like creepy and all that. And so I'm like, okay, well then it's his mom that's the problem, and you know, who wants a crazy mother-in-law? Like, no one wants that. No one wants to deal with that. Oh my god, that wasn't even the worst of it. He's a crazy wacko who throws people off of boats in the middle of a storm. Crazy. Crazy. I just can't sleep. Could you throw me off a boat in the middle of a storm and now I'm gonna die? And true, I may not be the biggest fan of Tamsin in the world, but still, I thought that was a little harsh. Just a little. And yeah, and that scene when he was attacking Adelaide, I was calling her all these not nice names, and the cabin, he was a creep. He was a weirdo, and he cannot let go. She doesn't want him. No doesn't mean no to him. I could go on, but I don't think I should. The ending is still a little bit of a blur for me. I felt it was either a little bit rushed or it was too unexplained, because it wasn't explained. Mira and Tamsin come popping out of nowhere and there's all this craziness and I'm just like, what? Huh? How? And then we proceed to learn nothing about Mira and Tamsin. Nothing. Like, they tell each other everything, but as readers, we don't get to see any of it. And like, as far as Adelaide and Cedric's story, everything was wrapped up and it was really adorable and they got their like cutesy happily ever after, and I loved that. I loved them so much and I loved their story arc. It was so good and so cute. But this book, I really don't feel like it's complete, and I know it's not complete, but you know how the first book in a series, a lot of first books are like kind of wrapped up at the end. But this one, it was like there were still so many gaps. And that's unusual even for, I feel like, a first book in a series. So this book really, really, I feel like is going to depend on the next books. like even more so than most trilogies, I feel like. I don't know how to say that better. Despite all of the incompletes, I did thoroughly enjoy this book. It was extremely gripping and I could not put it down. I read it pretty fast. I don't even know how fast I read. And it did have a lot of things I wasn't expecting in it, so that was really fun because I expected it to maybe get to the point where they get to the new world. I wasn't even sure if they were going to get there, but yeah, it had all this other stuff that I wasn't even expecting, like the whole religion thing. I feel like it'd be really awesome to wait for all 3 books to be out and then you could marathon them. I feel like it would be such a fun series to marathon. I might actually do that anyway. And I have so many questions. I don't even know like if I should go into my predictions or not. I know Mira was sneaking out into town a lot. She was always doing stuff. She was doing something with a crossbow, so she was learning how to fight something. I don't even know because they didn't really give me enough clues to kind of give me theories, really. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you read it, please share your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear anything that you have to say. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. That way you'll never miss one of my videos. Have a great day. Bye!